Joining us today, one of the most prominent figures in the new Labour Party, someone who's been on the front line of political campaigning and says he's standing up for straight talking, honest politics. As honest as he is though, he has been forced to operate under a pseudonym. Bloody Doris! Operate under a pseudonym owing to what he calls possible repercussions from Blairite trolls. I speak, of course, of Corbyn Super Fan. Mr. Fan, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, pleasure to be here.
So to start us off, Mr. Fan, how did you first get involved in politics?
I've been political for a while actually, without really finding my home until now. I think discovering I was working class was the first step, which is a bit of a surprise to me because I've mentioned before, I grew up in Marlow in Berks, and my dad's a director of a software company and shit, but, knew from an early age that wasn't a life for me. I've been living in London for a while, spent some time with the Occupy guys when they were down here, then sort of joined the Green Party for a bit. Then when I saw Jeremy got elected, leader of the Labour Party, jumped on board, and I was like, yeah, I'm here. I can do anything that you need me to do to help.
So there's two by-elections taking place today. The polls in Copeland are looking pretty close. How do you think Labour's going to do there?
I do think Labour will win if the candidate is pro-Corbyn, alright? Actually haven't done too much research on whether he or she is, to be honest, if I'm honest. But, and that's only because my main focus has been what's going on in London on a grassroots local level. But what is important to note, is the last MP in Copeland was chased out of the place because he was not pro-Corbyn enough, That's coming from the people up there. Jamie, whatever his name is, He barely made it out of town in one piece. Now, I'm not advocating violence on any level, But it just goes to show the type of emotions that Jeremy stirs up in the people.
You say, Mr. Fan, you don't trust the polls. I hear you've developed your own polling system. Could you tell us a little about your methodology?
Basically, lots of advanced maths and algorithms, shit like that. But I don't want to get into the low-level detail because this is a short conversation. I don't want to bore people or come across as a brag. If I was talking to maybe like a political scientist or someone with a PhD, no offence, I'd get into the methodology a bit more at a lower level. As it is, let's just say I've got Jeremy slightly ahead right now and things are looking pretty good.
You say pretty good. Is there anything at all you think Jeremy Corbyn could be doing better?
Apart from nothing, I'd say let's speed up on the deselection process, whatever you want to call it. I call it clearing out stubborn shit, alright? It's pretty obvious Blairites at this point are just stuck in the past, dragging the party down. Enough's enough, clear them out. Get some decent momentum dudes or girls in their place, right? Let's speed up the inevitable, which is Jeremy Corbyn in number 10.
Mr. Fan, a lot of people have been critical of what they call Jeremy Corbyn's somewhat shifting stance on the European Union. What would you say to those people?
I don't think he suddenly switched. He was being forced to do something he didn't want to by these weird, sinister Blairite forces who were ready to sort of pounce on him if it went south. They were, in a way, actually hoping for a Leave vote because, they would use that as leverage to try and fuck him over. So, no wonder he looked distracted during that campaign. He was always looking over his shoulder, wondering what Mandelson was doing in the wings, for example, wondering what plot was being hatched to get him out. But as always, we got his back. Jeremy, we love you, buddy. Don't let the shadowy Portland shits get you down.
Right. Another issue where people have accused Jeremy Corbyn of having a rather unclear position is on the issue of nuclear power. What would you say to voters in Copeland whose jobs rely on the nuclear industry?
I'd actually say to him, look, dudes, have a think for a second, Do you prefer all-out nuclear war or, let's say, nuclear waste buried under your houses, fucking up your kids' brains, right? Or just getting another job? Weigh that up and get back to me, right? Life is precious, It's worth a little bit more than carrying around uranium battens or whatever.
Have you visited Copeland to campaign?
No, I don't do visits, not really my style. I like to spread the word using sort of more modern technology techniques online or through social media. You know, I could knock a blog out in an hour, right? And that could be read by 1 million people this time tomorrow, right? How long would it take you to knock on 1 million doors? Fucking ages, right? Plus the physical toll it would take on your knuckles, alright? They're going to be destroyed. Alright, then there's the practical element, right? What if there's a racist lurking behind that door? How do you deal with that situation? What if someone opened the door, right, and I witnessed a murder being committed, yeah? That could be life-changing, right? The police would have to give me a fucking alternative identity. I might have to go into hiding before testifying. Alright, all sorts. No thanks.
So, Mr. Fan, what are your plans for tomorrow after the results? Have you planned any celebrations?
Yeah, I might smoke something organic to see the weekend in, but there's always work to do. You know, there's always work to do. You know, we've got to deselect Blairite MPs, as I mentioned earlier. Their antics are dragging all of us down, and are making a mockery of our party.
But may I just say, could it not be argued that by focusing on internal divisions, you're in fact arguably helping the Tories?
No need for that, Danielle.
Hello? 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 I think we've lost him.